Resonance 104.4 FM.
Resonance relies on its listeners, on you. If you like what we do, please make a donation at resonancefm.com/donate.
Well, look at this! Here's the guy there just in the nick of time. What does that make us? Big damn heroes, sir. Ain't we just?
You feel like summertime. You took this heart of mine. You'll be my Valentine in the summer. In the summer.
Stick with me and I'll keep you safe.
There's a family in our driveway.
It's probably the neighbors. But y'all scared of a family? Hi, can I help you?
Zora, put your shoes on.
If you want to get crazy, we can get crazy.
Hello and welcome to Shoot the Breeze on Resonance 104.4 FM, a film and TV radio show where a handful of film enthusiasts shoot the breeze about all things film and television. I'm Marcus E. Acko, and the most recent TV show that I have watched on a streaming service is American Gods.
I am Laura Sampson, and the last TV show I saw on a streaming service was Surgeons, Series 2, Episode 3 on BBC iPlayer.
Hello, I'm David Campbell. The last thing I saw on a streaming service was so long ago I can't remember, to be quite honest. I've been watching virtually
Keep up,
everything
dear.
else. Oh, yeah,
I know.
I know.
That's the only thing that we've asked you to prepare for this show. You watch TV, you watch films, so you can come in and banter with the rest of us.
I have watched films.
Okay. You have been pretty busy, right?
I just haven't been streaming stuff on
Sure.
TV.
And you can't remember the last thing?
That's right. The last thing I watched on streaming was a film.
Okay. What was it?
Guava Island.
Guava Island.
Guava Island?
Yes. Guava Island.
Okay, because the last time we were all together in the studio, we were talking about Guava Island because it just hit us by surprise, right?
Yeah.
Let's jump into it, right? Those of you who are listening live on Resonance 104.4 FM or on resonancefm.com, we have no guests today. We're coming back fresh after the Easter break. We have no guests because, frankly, we wanted to keep this nice. We wanted to keep this the threesome, right? It's all about the threesome. Right? Hashtag Shoot the Breeze Show.
It's all about the three-way.
It's all about the
sorry.
three-way.
Yes, what did I say? It's all about the threesome? Yeah, sorry. That's the other podcast that I do. But yeah, let's rewind that.
Yeah.
Hashtag It's all about the three-way. Wow. Yes. Anyway, so the three of us back in the studio, and I miss these shows. I miss the ones where it's just the three of us talking about stuff because while I love having all our guests, the guests that we've had in the studio, we've had Iki El Amriti, we've had Bijang Tong, we've had Paul Knight, we've had Bryn Kurt Hammond all come in the studio and
Daniel Lawrence
Taylor, and everyone's James Kermack, a whole bunch of all our friends,
Charles Streeter.
So Charles Streeter, all names I could just keep. Ariana, the hardest working production manager in the business.
Who's
Ariana
invited
Ryan.
us round for Canada Day celebrations.
She has, hasn't she? Yes.
We are going to be descending on you, Ariana, and we can't wait to eat lots of chips and gravy and whatever else they have in Canada. I don't know.
What's it called?
Poutine.
Poutine.
Yes, poutine.
Okay.
Cheese curds, gravy, chips. Anyway.
Should we do a live show from her house?
I think we should.
Would you do an extract?
But you guys have been seeing former guest of ours this week, haven't you?
Absolutely, which we have lined up. We're going to be talking about that. So those of you who are listening live, we don't have Facebook Live going on today because I wanted to keep it clean, just have us just bantering about all the stuff that we've been doing over the Easter holidays and this week, because we've got we've got a lot packed into this episode. We're going to be talking a lot about it. We talked about Guava Island. That's pretty much what dived into this. So just around the room, Laura, have you seen Guava Island yet?
No, I'm afraid I haven't.
David, have you seen Guava Island yet?
Yes, I did.
Good. So, Laura, you're just going to have to listen to us while we talk a little bit about Guava Island.
I can't wait.
Great. So, David, what is Guava Island?
Okay. Guava Island is available on Amazon only.
Yes.
And it's a film starring, now I'm trying to get this right, Donald Glover as Childish Gambino.
No. Okay. Let me see. He's not starring as Childish Gambino. He's a different character. It's okay. He's a different character. It's a fictional tale, but it's about a musician on this island called Guava Island, right? On this little country called Guava Island. It's not Childish Gambino, but it is Childish Gambino, if you will. So go on.
I will say to you that it's Donald Glover starring as Childish Gambino, playing another character.
Okay, fair enough.
And
Okay.
hence the reason why I just said Childish Gambino, because the other character, well, if you watch it, you'll know what happens to the other character. But as far as I'm concerned, this is sort of like the culmination of Childish Gambino.
Okay, I agree. Now I'm on track, and I agree with you completely. It has Childish Gambino. It has Rihanna, Letitia Wright, Nonzi Alonso. I keep messing his name up. If you've seen him in Game of Thrones, you've seen him in a whole bunch of other stuff. And who else is in it? There was another face that was in it. It'll come to me later on. But it's this film that it flew under the radar. It just basically was done by Childish Gambino and his friends while they were in Cuba on holiday, and he released it at Coachella this year.
Yeah, it came out just before Coachella. He dropped it just there and then. And he teased it last year while he was on holiday in Cuba.
Yes.
And he sort of like teased it, but didn't say what he was doing, because he released some pictures of him and Rihanna.
Yes.
And I think Letitia Wright was there for a couple of days, and she just dropped into it as well.
Yeah.
But that was it. He kept it very, very much under the radar.
So, David, you've seen the film. What did you think of the film?
It was only an hour long, so it was very compact. It was light in places.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. But
are you trying to criticize it? But you're I can't criticize.
No, I'm not trying to criticize it. But a couple of things I found that I weren't satisfied with was Letitia Wright's involvement.
Okay.
It was very sparse.
Sure.
Considering what she'd been in and sort of like how talented she is in, she was very sparse. Rihanna was in it as well.
Yeah.
She did not sing a note.
Nope, not at all.
A note.
Not
and
at
I was
all.
like, why? Why not? So there were things that I would have liked to have seen expanded in there.
Okay.
And but there were some good takes in there. I mean, one of the things that popped up in there, unbeknownst to me, I didn't realize it was going to be in there, was a different take on his America.
This is America.
This is America. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And there was some nods to sort of island life in Cuba as well.
Yeah.
Where towards the end of that particular routine of This is America, the people who were dancing with him kind of started to act zombie-ish.
Yes.
And I thought to myself, whoa, shoot it in Cuba. Not zombie. What's the name of it again? Voodoo is very big.
Okay.
So that was a nod too.
Okay.
And I thought, he did some very, very subtle moves.
Yeah.
So there were some bits that were emotionally satisfying because it set my brain working and whatever. But there were some bits like, Letitia,
we need
Rihanna,
more. Yeah. See, I really enjoyed it. However, the only I'm putting it as however, and it's not even however. It's basically, it's not a film. It's a film, but it's the film. It's the same way as it's okay. Better way of putting it is it's an elongated music video for Childish Gambino. Back in the 90s, Michael Jackson did that quite a lot with Thriller, Smooth Criminal, and Ghost. And Bad, yes. So those were short films, but more to incorporate their songs in the film.
You see, where it differed from Michael Jackson was that all those were centered on one song.
Not just one song. There were at least 3 different songs. There was the one that he sings for. Fans of Childish Gambino would love this film because you're listening to it and you listen to his back. I'm
talking about Michael Jackson.
Oh, sorry. They
were focused on one song.
So I apologize.
One song, and Bad was one song.
I apologize. Blah, blah, blah. You're right. This one would combine multiple songs in there. This is
another level, though. Music. If it is a music video, it's nearly an hour long.
Yes,
it's an hour long.
That is, correct me if I'm wrong, really unprecedentedly long for a music video.
Sure. So it may be okay. Maybe calling it a music video might be underestimating
the thing
a little
about
bit.
Donald Glover though is that he kind of does everything, and so maybe this is just another kind of genre busting thing that he's gonna do some more of in another way or as a different character or people. I mean, it's still done fairly well.
Absolutely. Right? And I'm fully on board with this. Me calling it a music video is not, I just want to say this, it's not downplaying it at all. I loved it. I absolutely loved Guava Island. I've seen it twice already because I'm a huge Childish Gambino fan. Everyone that's listened to this show know my opinion about Donald Glover. I won't go into it anymore, but I really enjoyed it. I echo your thoughts, David. I think Letitia Wright should have been more in it.
Definitely.
What it reminded me of was Letitia Wright in Ready Player One. Yes. If you're looking at me weird and people are thinking, no, you're wrong. Letitia Wright is in Ready Player One. She has a cameo in Ready Player One. She doesn't say anything. She's just in the background. You see her walk past, and that's it. That's it completely. She just walks in the background and disappears.
Ready Player One is full of.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what it reminded me of, and I really like that. But I think Letitia Wright is great in whatever she does as well. I think I would have wanted a little bit more from her.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but hey, it's speaking of which, speaking of Letitia Wright, Iki El Amriti, she's just messaged the show. Just want to say hi, Iki. We need to get you back in the studio at some point. Iki's got a panel with Luna. There's a women's panel tomorrow. We'll put more on our Facebook page. So if you want, it's about women in film, women in TV, women in the industry. We'll put more on the Facebook page, on the Instagram page. On Facebook, it's Shoot the Breeze at Resonance 104.4 FM. On Instagram, it's Shoot the Breeze Show. And on Twitter, it's at STB_Resonance FM. You're listening to Shoot the Breeze on Resonance 104.4 FM. I'm Marcus E. Acko.
I'm Laura Sampson.
And I'm David Campbell.
We've just finished talking about Guava Island, which was very long for this the beginning section of the show. We normally tend to wrap that up about 3 minutes. But you know what? It's just us. We can do whatever we want to do. Hashtag It's all about the three.
It's all about the three-way.
Thank you. I made a mistake there. But anyway, before we do that, we're going to do our top 5, or not before, but later on in the show, we'll do our top 5 favorites, and that'll be disaster movies. But before all of that stuff, let's do film and TV news. Okay, so first thing we'll talk about when we're going to hit various points, because one thing I want us to do is film and TV games. I've been wanting to do this with you guys for a long time. We haven't got the chance to do that.
Yeah, we've been trying to avoid it.
Yeah, well, you're not going to avoid it because we can do it now.
What's this got to do with the news? I think we should protest. Let's protest, David. We don't have to do games, do we?
We're going to do games later on. The Spotlight version will be games. Right now, let's talk news. For example, in America...
I'm getting nervous already.
Don't be nervous, it'll be fine. Writers Guild of America, the union that supports writers in America, are currently having a battle with the union that are a union of agents in America, agents to represent writers. You might be thinking, well, what are they complaining about? Anybody in the room want to jump in? Want to tell us a little bit more about it? David, let's throw it to you. What's the argument about?
Basically, what the argument is the writers in America, or the Writers Guild of America, is saying that their members are being grossly underpaid, mainly because the agencies, the big four agencies that represent them, one of which is the CAA, they are making money by packaging together the writers, directors, actors, and charging the studios a packaging fee, which when a writer creates a successful program, let's say, for example, I was a writer and I created a really big series in America that went for 10 seasons, which made a buckload of money. Let's say it made £1 billion. My fee as a writer would hardly change over the years. It would go up in line with inflation, maybe, if I was able to push it. However, the agency themselves, because they packaged it with other stars and what have you from their roster, they were then collecting a percentage of the net of the show that I'd created. So if it made $1 billion, they possibly would be getting 10% of that $1 billion.
Yeah.
However, I, as the writer, would just be getting a set fee all the way through.
Yeah.
And that's what they're protesting.
Absolutely, and they've this contract between the Writers Guild of America and the agents union as well has been going on since the 70s, and it's only the expiry of the contract is happening this year, and for the last 12 months there's been this argument between the two unions to get that changed, the packaging fees changed. The Writers Guild of America they don't mind the packaging deal still being there. Their argument is while they are happy with the packaging fees still being in place as long as fees for writers are also on the rise. But that's the problem. That's the conflict. The conflict is the fact that the agencies are getting more and more from deals like this with production companies, whereas the writers are getting either the same or less. And that's the problem. So there are no writers' fees. The writers are effectively getting screwed out of their own from the hard work that they're
Well, they're not even
doing.
they're not making a living. That's the argument. They're not making a living out of doing what they love doing and what they're being employed to do.
Absolutely.
And also they feel like they're being failed by their agents.
That's
who
right.
are not only who are working for themselves. They're making more money for themselves than they are for their writers. They're trying harder and they're involved in projects that are involved in taking money away from writers.
Absolutely.
And the thing that is really interesting to me about this, though, isn't really that they're having an argument. Like, agents always want to make more money. Writers Guilds and equity and people are trying to get it back for artists.
Yeah.
But the thing that really, really struck me about this was just how powerful these guilds can be if they're really, really supported by their membership.
Yes.
In this case, and this is really, really unusual, almost all, I think it was 80%, over 80% of writers who are represented, who are part of the Writers Guild of America, have sacked their agents because of this argument, because they feel like their agents are failing them and because they feel that they could make a better living if agents weren't involved in tampering with whatever it is that's theirs.
Absolutely. They have all teamed up with the Writers Guild of America, are standing strong, standing firm, in order to make sure that this change occurs. And you're absolutely right. It's incredible to see them holding firm and making that hardline decision. No, you are fired because you are not representing my best interest.
It's one of the greatest challenges, isn't it, for guilds and unions, is to get enough support that they can actually make a change.
Yeah.
I know that I sometimes sit in on another program where people from equity sometimes come in and talk, and they were talking about the real challenges of sort of, in a different sense, sort of getting a standard of quality among agents, and also other issues. But really, without all actors or all stage designers or all a particular group of people deciding they're not going to take a certain thing, there's not so much they can do. But the Writers Guild of America have a lot of power in their grasp now, I think, because a lot of big name writers are now agentless, free, and CAA and William Morris Endeavour, who are the main packaging big conglomerate agencies in Hollywood, probably lost.
You know what we're going to do?
Several £1 million in revenue.
Yeah.
Because of this.
What we're going to do is we'll come back to this topic when we can get an agent, Iki El Amariti. We'll get her into the studio and we'll see it from her point of view as an agent. See, if she can have a counterpoint to this as well.
In the meantime, if you're interested in sort of like reading up some of the intricacies behind all this whole argument, I refer you to davidsimon.com. David Simon is a writer. He wrote
The Wire.
The Wire, but not only that, Homicide: Life on the Streets. And he goes through it in detail about what happened to him and how he found out that his Homicide: Life on the Streets was packaged without him knowing.
Yeah.
And that the agency that packaged it was still making a mint off it, even today, even though he's not seeing a single penny.
Of course.
Yeah. So I would refer you to that, and when we come back to it, you'll have a better understanding of what they're saying.
It'll be really interesting to see how in Hollywood this whole row gets resolved, because I certainly don't want all the good writers in Hollywood to run away, leave.
We'll see how that goes, but we'll come back to it when we get Iki El Amariti into the studio with us. You're listening to Shoot the Breeze on Resonance 104.4 FM. I'm Marcus E. Acko.
I'm Laura Sampson.
And I'm David Campbell.
Okay, so before we jump into the Spotlight section, just want to do a quick talk about what we've done this week, right? So I did something this week. David, you did something this week. I'll start with me. Yes.
Because it happened earlier than the week.
Sure.
Earlier in the week, rather than that you're more important, of course, right?
Okay, if that's what you want to go with, okay. One of our guests, or one of our frequent guests on the studio, Mark A.C. Brown, the director and writer of the film Guardians, extended an invitation to me, or to me, to go in and QA one of the recent screenings of the film Guardians in TT Cinema, which is it's in Hoxton. It's a great, nice little place. Go check it out. It's very cozy little cinema. They do, you mentioned silent screenings, Laura, the last time we spoke about this. It's in the middle of TT Liquor Bar. So you've got rooms where the amazing cocktails being made and whiskey bottles hanging around different places. So it's very nice and atmospheric. But the QA session went without a hitch. Guardians played to a packed crowd. They loved it. There was a screening of a short film before it called Kitty and Libby Go Boo. It was written and directed by Hannah Owen. It's an amazing short film. It's 7 minutes. It was hilarious. We're going to try and get Hannah into the studio with us and talk more about that short. But that was how that went. And I enjoyed doing the QA. I'm not going to lie. I really enjoyed it. It was a fun crowd. We're going to try and do more events like that. And one thing I want to try and pitch maybe later on to our audience, please send us messages as well to let us know if you think this is a good idea. I want us to do a Shoot the Breeze live event where we get audience members to sit in the audience and interact with us. If you think that's a good idea, send us a message on Facebook or on Twitter or on Instagram. Facebook is Shoot the Breeze on Resonance 104.4 FM. Our Twitter page is at @STB_Resonance FM. Our Instagram is Shoot the Breeze Show. Send us a message telling us if you think it's a good idea to do a live show and if you would attend. If we get enough people saying yes, we're going to organize it and we'll do that. We'll do this. It's all about the three-way live in front of an audience. That sounded dirtier than I meant it to sound.
Marcus.
Sorry. But you know what I mean. David, what did you do this week?
I went to see we were invited to a premiere, and I went along to the Vue Cinema in Piccadilly.
Yes.
And the film I went to see was Iron Sky: The Coming Race.
So it was by Nick Sadler, another guest on the show. He's the sales director of the film label. He came in a while ago in our season 1 with James Kermack when they were promoting High Low Joe, and he again very graciously extended tickets to us to go and see Iron Sky: The
Coming Race.
The Coming Race. Tell us about it.
Oh gosh, my initial review of it was an enjoyable romp through the sci-fi genre.
Nice.
And I have to put it that way because I was watching it and I kept on thinking, oh, Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's Indiana Jones and the Temple of, blah, blah, blah. So I recognized different bits and pieces.
Different touchstones, yeah.
Yeah. And towards the end, I was thinking, oh my God, yeah, that's also Space 1999, the TV.
Wow.
There were lots of different bits and pieces that just reminded me of it.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park and all that. All that's in there. I mean, the director, Timo Varensola, did a really competent job.
Okay. I love that.
Of keeping the madness together, if you see what I mean, because I have to say there was a lot of good special effects in there. It was really, really entertaining.
So you enjoyed it?
I just thought it was an entertaining romp.
Okay.
And yeah, it was great.
So what else happened apart from the film? Did you get VIP treatment? Did you see anyone famous on the red carpet? Did anything embarrassing happen? You know, I'm really hoping that something embarrassing did happen, but I don't know why you'd tell me.
Let me say, I went with a friend who left his key behind. That was the embarrassing. That was the embarrassing bit. We proseccoed out.
Oh, nice.
And
free prosecco.
Oh God, yes.
Oh, I knew I should have gone.
See, Laura, every time we whenever these things get organized, we try to get you to come out, but you just don't want to come out with us. Honestly, every time we try to organize this, you don't want to come out. We might start taking that personally now.
I have to say, one of the go and see the trailer. It's on YouTube and everything else like that, because one of the biggest bits in there was the sight of Hitler.
Yeah.
Kicking down the doors on a T-Rex.
Nice.
Whilst trying to and gobbling up people.
Okay.
So hence the Jurassic Park thing.
Yeah.
But he's riding the T-Rex.
Sure.
So it is just entertaining.
T-Rex as horse. That's great.
We're gonna find out from Nick Sadler when that movie is going to be on wide release, so you can get it. We'll put notes on our Facebook page so you can follow it, and you get more information, and you can see Hitler riding a T-Rex kicking down doors, as well as the Star Wars references and the Indiana Jones references. And you tell us if you enjoyed it as much as David enjoyed it.
It was a laugh, man.
The sci-fi romp, so it'd be great. You're listening to Shoot the Breeze on Resonance 104.4 FM. I'm Marcus E. Acko.
I'm Laura Sampson.
And I'm David Campbell.
Just before we jump into Spotlight, I just want to give another another reminder. Go on our Facebook page. There's a link to the British Podcast Awards. Go and nominate Shoot the Breeze on Resonance 104.4 FM.
Yay!
Just say, hey, you'd like this this radio show, this podcast, because we're a podcast as well. We release our podcasts every Monday morning. So go on that website. It's BritishPodcastAwards.com. Find Shoot the Breeze on Resonance 104.4 FM and nominate it. Doesn't take long, 2 minutes, and that will go up in the rankings, and hopefully we can start getting more people interested in this, and then that can fund stuff like live shows and come in front of you guys. No, that again, wrong phrasing, but do this show in front of all of you and get your participation as well. But before we do any of that stuff, let's jump into Spotlight. All right, so as part of our Spotlight, normally Spotlight section is when we have a guest and we get the guest to talk more about their own projects, but we don't have a guest, so we're going to keep it a very nice, tightly packed segment, and it's going to be my fun. What I've been looking forward to since I did the show, and I've got these guys in the room. I'm going to do film and movie games. So yes, are you guys ready for film and movie games?
No.
Yes.
No.
Oh,
in actual fact, we should be asking the questions. You should be answering.
No, but that's the thing. I'll be nailing it, and it'll be fine because I play these games by myself. I know that sounds sad, but when I'm on a train or I'm walking, I play these games in my head, and I enjoy playing these games. And now I get to share these games with you, and you're trapped in the studio with me, so that's why I'm enjoying this.
Okay, I've got the dunce cap ready for my own head.
All right,
I've got one for you too, David. Let's see how we do.
So the first game that we're going to do, I'm just going to call it 6 Degrees of Separation. Anybody who's done that game before knows it's kind of a riff off of the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, where you can connect different actors with the different films that they've done.
6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon?
Yes. It's the popular theory in Hollywood that you can connect any actor in Hollywood to Kevin Bacon in less than 6 films. And he's done he has such a huge body of work that you actually can. There are a lot of actors that you can connect to Kevin Bacon in less than 6 films. But we're not doing that structure. The way we're going to do it now is going to be bouncing between Laura and David, and I'm going to name 2 actors, and they have to pick the film that links the 2 of them. And then I'll take one of those actors and get another actor, and they have to link that actor, and so on and so forth. So we'll start with something simple, okay? So first of all, let's just as a test run, Laura, can you connect Ewan McGregor and Natalie Portman?
Yes, I can. In Star Wars,
Perfect.
Phantom Menace.
Well done. Okay, David, I'll throw it to you. Natalie Portman and Hugo Weaving. We did a practice run before the show. I'll give you a hint. It's based on a graphic novel, an Alan Moore graphic novel.
And?
Viva Vendetta.
Thank you, Viva Vendetta. Okay. Yes. Okay, so that was just a practice run. Now we've got a brand new list. You guys ready? All right, Laura, we're going to go with you. Don't worry, this is only going to last 2 minutes, and then we'll stop. So, Laura, we'll start with you. Idris Elba and Michael K. Williams.
The Wire.
The Wire. Well done. David, I'm going to throw this to you. Michael K. Williams and Steve Buscemi.
Steve Buscemi?
Yes. I'll give you a hint. It's a TV series. It's set in the past.
Pass.
Okay, I'll help you out. It's Boardwalk Empire. You haven't seen it?
No.
Okay, fair enough. Laura, back to you. Steve Buscemi and Liv Tyler.
Armageddon.
Well done. Good. Now, back to you, David.
Oh, gosh.
Liv Tyler and Ed Norton. I'll give you a hint. Don't make me angry. You won't like me if I'm angry.
Oh, the Hulk.
Yes, an Incredible Hulk. Yes.
Which one is that?
The
yes. Yeah. Still haven't seen that.
Wow, David.
Get out.
I know, right? Producer David is not. He needs to switch on. Come on, David. Laura's beating you by 2.
So,
Laura, back to you. Ed Norton, Jared Leto. I'll give you a hint. Rule 1.
Oh.
First rule of
Fight Club.
Well done, David. Yes, David got that one. So that, almost. So Laura, you're down by. Well, not down. You're ahead by 1. David, throw it to you. Jared Leto and Will Smith.
Will Smith.
Yes.
Oh, Suicide Squad.
Well done. Okay, Laura, if you miss this one, then basically you're now even. Will Smith and Regina King. This is a difficult one. I'll give you a hint. It's got Gene Hackman in it. It's got John Voight in it. It's about surveillance. Enemy of the
state.
Well done. Well, I kind of gave you most of the title, so you're now even terms. Okay, so we're gonna do. We're almost there. We're almost there with this one. So
the shame.
So David, back to you. Regina King, Samuel L. Jackson. Remember, it could be film or TV.
Boondocks.
Well done. Good shot. And this is the one I was telling you that if you miss this one, I'm going to ridicule you for the rest of the show.
No. In actual fact, that just
popped into your head.
That was divine intervention.
Nice. Oh, I love Boondocks. Anyway, Laura, back to you. Samuel L. Jackson, Letitia Wright. What are we going to watch this weekend?
Avengers.
But which one?
Avengers.
Endgame.
Well, not Endgame.
No.
We don't know about Endgame. We're going to
Infinity War.
Yeah, Infinity War.
Yeah, because
she was
in both. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't know if she's in Avengers Endgame though.
No. She was in both. What's it called? Infinity War and. That both of them were in Infinity War. He was right at the end. Yes,
he was right at the end. Yes. Okay. Anyway, so but you got that. So it was still even. Okay. Back to you, David. Letitia Wright, Donald Glover.
Guava Island.
Laura, back to you. Donald Glover, Woody Harrelson. Not going to say anything. I'll give you a hint. I'm not going to give a hint. David, do you have this one?
No.
Okay. I'll throw it. Solo, a Star Wars movie.
Haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it?
No.
Haven't seen it? Okay. Donald Glover plays the young Lando Calrissian. Woody Harrelson is... fair enough. Okay, you don't get a point there.
We need to do this with Japanese movies, okay?
The next one will be Japanese movies. Okay, David, if you get this one, you go in the lead, okay? Woody Harrelson, Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. and Woody Harrelson.
Uh-huh.
Iron Man.
Nope. Iron Man? What? No. Natural Born Killers. And okay. Right. So now you both are even. So here's what's going to happen. Yeah. I'm going to throw it out. Whoever mentions it first wins. Robert Downey Jr., Idris Elba.
Infinity War.
Well done, David wins. That's it. So that's it. I wanted to bring it right round because we started with Idris Elba, we end with Idris Elba. Well done, David. You pulled it out in the end. That was an emotional roller coaster right there because you were losing at one point and then you came back and you won it. So well done.
I've taken the dunce cap for the team.
No, you haven't.
Don't worry. And then the next one, when we do Japanese movies, you'll trance everyone in the room. So
yeah, you will because I've only watched one.
You're listening to Shoot the Breeze on Resonance 104.4 FM. I'm Marcus Iacco.
I'm Laura Sampson.
And I'm David Campbell.
No, you're not the dunce. You're not the dunce. You've taken the L on this game, but don't worry, it's just 1-0 to David. The next game you'll beat him. So
I
don't
was
worry about
lucky.
it.
Come on.
Absolutely. So let's move on to our next segment, which is Top 5 Favorites. Okay, so our hashtag Top 5 Favorites category this week is disaster movies.
Disaster movies.
If you're new to the show, we have a Top 5 favorites segment where we go around the room and we pick a category and we do our number 5 to number 1 favorites of that category. So this week it's Top 5 favorites. Before we go around the room, Diane Knight, the other half of guest Paul Knight, who we had in the compilation episode that happened last week. We had 3 people in the compilation episode: Paul Knight, Bryn, Kurt, James Hammond, and
we had 5 actually.
And we had 5.
Don't forget, Bryn was with.
Oh yes.
And then there was Harvey Halfpenny and his dad.
Yes, Harvey Halfpenny and Craig Conway. Yeah. So we had them on the show. So if you listened to last week's episode, let us know what you thought. Tell us just give us your opinions on who you liked in those compilations. We're going to do a few more with our other favorite guests as well because we have tons of favorite guests, but obviously we only have 1 hour. So we're going to try and do one episode where we try and put our top 10 favorite guests. That might anger some people, but it doesn't matter. But right now we're doing top 5 favorites, and Diane Knight has sent us her 5 favorite disaster movies. She has 28 Days Later, Deep Impact, The Impossible, Day After Tomorrow, and Contagion. Let's see how many people...
Is 28 Days Later really a disaster movie, though?
It's a good question.
Is
Very
it?
good question.
Why wouldn't you say it's a disaster movie?
I'll say why I don't think, why it doesn't classify as a disaster movie. The thing is, we've been doing research and we've been finding 28 Days Later and other ones like that in lists of disaster movies. But I disagree with that because my idea of a disaster movie, and the definition of a disaster movie, is a film where the main plot device is an incident is occurring. In fact, I wrote this down. It says here it's an impending or ongoing disaster. For example, an asteroid is about to crash into Earth, right? So the whole movie is about this asteroid that's coming to crash into Earth. Or it's ongoing, so something is happening at that point, like a volcano is erupting and everyone's running around trying to get themselves rescued, right? But if something like 28 Days Later, the movie starts with the disaster already having happened. So the entire movie is now in the aftermath of that disaster. So it's not a disaster movie, it's a post-apocalyptic movie. That's my opinion anyway. There are a lot of people who've put those in their lists. That's why I don't think it is. David, you seem to disagree. We have enough time for you to be able to...
No, I'm not disagreeing. I just wanted to hear what you... Because it seems like you and Laura say the same thing. And I agree.
Yeah.
But when it comes to a film like... what was it called again? Day of the Triffids.
Yes.
Laura says that's not a disaster movie for exactly that reason. Mm-hmm. However, as far as I'm concerned, it is a disaster movie because the disaster doesn't happen before the movie starts. The disaster happens during the course of the movie.
Okay.
Well, so actually, you might be right on that one. I do think 28 Days Later and Day of the Triffids are different. I think 28 Days Later, the disaster happens to create a new world and a new set of relationships, so you can have a fantasy movie in London.
Yes.
And, on the M62 or whatever.
Yeah. But and Day of the Triffids, remind me if I'm wrong, or correct me if I'm wrong. It's the movie starts with the plant, with the alien beings landing on Earth,
in much the same way as 28 Days Later. 28 Days Later kind of nicked the first few shots. Man wakes up in hospital, everything's changed.
Okay.
But everyone's blind.
Okay.
In Day of the
I'm
Triffids.
confusing that with
Day of
something
the
else.
Triffids,
Yeah.
But you actually see the things leading up to
Okay.
that, because the guy is in hospital for a particular reason. Everyone can see when he wakes up the next day, everyone's gone blind because of a meteor, yeah. It's not a strike, it's a meteor shower that blinds everyone.
Okay.
So he and anyone else who didn't see it are
blind.
Can see. But
Okay.
everyone else who didn't see it, who did see it, are blind.
And that's when the Triffids start coming out and start attacking people.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Anyway, let's go around and start saying our top 5. So we'll start with David, and then we'll move on to Laura, and then myself. So David, what is your number 5, and what's your number 4?
My number 5 is a double header, and the double header related is Airport and Airplane. Airport from 1970, and Airplane, the spoof of the Airport 75 and Airport 79 films.
Yeah.
Because it just took the three of them and spoofed them, but it was still an impending disaster.
Yes.
What I mean.
Because that is a disaster movie, because the characters are stuck on a plane which is about to crash.
Yeah.
So that is an impending disaster. I love the fact that you combine the two of them. I'm sure one of them is going to pop up in another list. So that's your number 5.
That's
Airport
my number 5.
and Airplane.
My number 4 is an old film, and I'm going back to 1963. It's The Birds.
Oh, nice.
Hitchcock. I just think that was just so spot on. And he posed the question, what do we do if the birds decide that we were superfluous and decided to attack? Would we be able to defend ourselves? And the answer is, we don't know. We might be able to do so now, but in 1963, they certainly were having a problem doing it.
Yeah.
And Tippi Hedren was...
that's a great film. I love the fact that there's no real resolution to the movie.
There isn't.
Yeah, it just the birds just attack, and this is the spoiler, I guess. You never really find out why, and it's just the attack, which I like. I like it when a film has the audacity to just basically say, I'm gonna use a phrase, but I'll say why I'm using that phrase. A movie says something happens and just doesn't go into why it happens. The characters just have to deal with it and they carry on. A lot of people get annoyed by that. I don't, except in The Happening. The Happening with the M. Night Shyamalan movie, but that's for different reasons. Anyway, so your number 5 was Airport and Airplane, and your number 4 was The Birds. Laura, what is your number 5 and number 4?
My number 5 is Titanic. It's number 5 because I feel a little bit ashamed that it's on my list, because it's sort of everyone in the whole world's seen it, and it's not a very cool thing to think is a great disaster movie, but it is.
Titanic is... I know Titanic gets a lot of flack, but I enjoyed Titanic. I did. It's a long movie. It is very melodramatic, but I enjoyed it. I mean, maybe because I was really young when I saw it, but I really enjoyed it.
I actually preferred A Night to Remember, which I thought was a better film. And it was about the Titanic without all the superfluous fluff.
Yeah, okay. Well, the Celine Dion song doesn't make you well up a little bit? Not at all?
No.
Heartless.
I was trying not to puke.
Wow. Okay. Fair enough. So Titanic's your number 5?
So you'll understand why perhaps I didn't quite want to say that in this particular company, but there it is. My number 4 is Independence Day.
Independence Day. Welcome to Earth. Yeah.
Well, yeah. It was just...
That's not the bit that you liked?
Well, I like the explosions.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Okay. Okay, doesn't matter.
The aliens are not your friends. I mean, it was a really close run thing with The Day After Tomorrow, which I thought was quite a bad film, but it really... I found it completely addictive in the way that I find lots of disaster movies addictive, because it imagined the kind of disaster that I just would never have imagined before. I was like, what? A new ice age just in New York? Like, what is going on? Like, what? Why? What? Mm-hmm. And I just love that feeling about disaster movies, that kind of like, this couldn't really happen, could it? Could it? Could it? True. And it gave me those feelings really strongly.
Have you seen the sequel?
No.
Okay. I haven't seen the sequel yet either. It still has Jeff Goldblum in it. It has Bill Pullman? Not Bill Pullman.
Nye?
No. The one from... Oh, I keep forgetting. Oh, wait, it's not Bill Pullman. It's not Bill Paxton. It'll come to me. But yeah, he plays the president. He's the president in the first one. Anyway, he comes back into it. But yeah, and it hasn't got Will Smith in it, but I haven't seen it yet. I want to see it just so I can complete it.
Which one?
The second one. I've seen the first one. I've seen Independence Day.
I think everyone's seen the first one.
Oh, yeah, of course.
The second one.
Okay, fair. Yeah, sure. Apparently, it didn't do that as well as the first one, obviously. Maybe because it didn't have Will Smith in it.
Exactly.
Who knows? Okay, so that's your number 5 and your number 4. My number 5 is Shaun of the Dead. I originally had a double header with Shaun of the Dead and 28 Days Later, and then I thought about it and I was like, no, 28 Days Later does not meet the criteria. Shaun of the Dead does, because the zombie apocalypse happens in the movie, and the movie is basically the start, is them running away from zombies now attacking. So films like Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, etc., those are disaster movies, because the zombie apocalypse, or rather Night of the Living Dead, is probably more of a disaster movie, but it's none of those. Mine is Shaun of the Dead as my number 5. Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, an Edgar Wright film. Love that movie. Love it, love it. If you haven't seen it, then what are you doing? Go and check it out. It's very funny, the way it dissects the zombie film lore. It's great. Just go and check it out.
If you like zombie films,
even if you don't like zombie films, but you like comedy films, intelligent humor, go and check it out, because come on, it's great. The scene, I'm not going to spoil anything. Go and check out Shaun of the Dead. Even if you don't like zombie films, just go and check it out and see what it's like.
What I would say to that is, don't stop me now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, come on. There are so many great scenes in that film. Go and see Shaun of the Dead.
I think that film made Simon Pegg big in Hollywood.
Oh, of course.
I mean, he was able to write his own check, but he was invited to star in so many things after that.
Yeah, and not just him, Edgar Wright as well, basically, because that was his first feature film, I think. And in fact, I think all of their first film, the 3 of them, and it was the start of the Cornetto trilogy, which was Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and End of the World. Those are the Cornetto trilogy. Go and check out Shaun of the Dead. It's great. Anyway, that's my number 5. My number 4, I've mentioned this before when we had Ashanti Omkar in the studio with us. Hi, Ashanti. We were talking Bollywood films. I talked about this, The Burning Train. It's literally the Bollywood version of The Towering Inferno, except it's set on a train. And it's at the time came out in the early 80s, late 70s. And it's basically all of Hollywood, Bollywood's biggest actors at the time, all in this film, and they're all stuck with some children on a train, and the train the brakes are gone, and the train is on fire, and it's an amazing film. Go and check it out. I will still watch it today. I will still cry every time I watch it. Go and check it out. It's called The Burning Train.
We need to have a screening, just the 3 of us in some really beautiful cinema. Yeah. We can watch this.
And maybe TT Cinema will set that up for us, and we can
cocktails
really
and a disaster movie. It sounds brilliant.
When you mentioned that, the film that came to mind was Unstoppable.
The Denzel Washington film, right?
The Denzel Washington film, which was a disaster waiting to happen, and based on a true story. But that didn't make my thing. But I have watched that several times. And I do enjoy that, to be honest. Anyway,
Oh, yeah, just hold on. Etiquette.
Yeah, sorry.
You're listening to Shoot the Breeze on Resonance 104.4 FM. I'm Marcus E. Acko.
I'm Laura Sampson.
And I'm an impatient David Campbell.
Yes, before we get to David's number 3 and number 2, just want to say hi to Jenna Suru, who came in to talk about Large Door.
Jenna.
Hi, Jenna.
Hi, Jenna.
She went on Facebook and corrected my hashtag. Hashtag, it's all about the 3-way. Not it's all about the threesome. That's a different podcast. It's all about the 3-way. Hashtag, it's all about the 3-way. Hashtag, Shoot the Breeze Show. So we're talking disaster movies. David, what's your number 3? What's your number 2?
Unfortunately, it's another double header, but I'm going to do it anyway. China Syndrome, 1974, and Andromeda Strain, 1971.
What are those movies about?
China Syndrome is about a potential nuclear accident it's in the States, and the premise was that if they didn't cool the core, it will sink right the way through the earth to China. Hence the reason why it's called the China Syndrome. The Andromeda Strain, however, is about a capsule that comes back to Earth with a virus on it.
Okay.
And a team of scientists are pulled together, pushed into the earth, into the desert, and they have to find a way of stopping the virus spreading. Because once it knocked out of town, and it's got a a quarantine area around it.
Yeah.
However, there's the possibility of it getting out,
Yeah.
and if they don't find a cure or a way of neutralizing it, then they face a rampant disaster going around.
An extinction level event. If I've heard those films. I've heard of those films, but I haven't watched them yet.
Andromeda Strain was remade.
Okay.
China Syndrome, I think it's been made as a different film.
Sure.
Yeah, but Andromeda Strain has been remade. Didn't like the remake very much.
Okay.
I would refer you back to the
original. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's your number 3, China Syndrome and Andromeda Strain.
Andromeda Strain.
What's your number 2?
Poseidon Adventure.
Poseidon Adventure. Tell us about Poseidon Adventure.
Poseidon
if
Adventure.
nobody knows. Which one as well?
Oh, the original. Good Lord. 1972. Basically, if you think of Titanic, it's very similar. However, this film is, this ship is on its way to, I think it's Bermuda. It gets caught up in a tsunami. The cruise ship is flipped over. So the people are, if you can imagine it, they have to climb to the top, which is now the base of the boat, to be saved. And there are different factions, and you see what happens to the different factions. Some elect to stay where they are, some elect to go somewhere else, and some elect to try and climb to the top. And it's about the basic human cost of people either getting together and forging, going ahead as one, or just splintering, what have you. So, yeah.
No, it's a great pick. The reason why I asked you because there was a remake in the 2000s with Kurt Russell and not that one.
No.
Fair enough. It's Gene Hackman is the original, right? Yeah. Okay, so your number 3, China Syndrome and Andromeda Strain. Number 2, Poseidon Adventure. Laura, what's your number 3? What's your number 2?
My number 3 is also Poseidon Adventure. It's the first disaster movie that was where images were imprinted on my mind at the same time as the title being imprinted on my mind. And I just have really, really clear memories of being quite horrified by what was going on, but also completely riveted, which is, I guess, what disaster movies do best.
Yeah.
And for lots of the same reasons as David, I just, since I've watched it a few more times, it's just wonderful. There are so many really emotional, dramatic moments which go beyond the special effects, which I think are quite good for the early 70s, and the performances. I mean, it's just a really beautiful, emotional disaster film.
Okay. Can I just tag on to that as well? Because one of the things about a lot of those films that I'm choosing is that they don't have a massive thing on special effects. The special effects are few and far between, but when you do see them, they're completely believable. They're not the CGI special effects that you see nowadays, which sometimes I think overwhelm the film, so that you get more character driven in plots in these films as opposed to special effects driven.
Absolutely. And again, practical effects are always better than CGI, which a lot of the modern day disaster films rely heavily on CGI.
Much, I think,
and you look at it and you're like, nah, that's ridiculous. But then when you see a practical effect like a boat being turned upside down, it just, you feel like you're on the boat, and it's much better. So what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Super Volcano, one of many volcano films I think that I became obsessed with as a teenager. I was really actually quite afraid of volcanoes in a kind of phobia sort of a way. If I ever even thought about volcanoes, I'd get really scared. Which is, of course, why I decided to watch loads of films about it. But Super Volcano was a kind of documentary film that wasn't a documentary about a giant caldera volcano in Yellowstone National Park, which blows, and all of the things that you can think of that are dangerous about volcanoes: lava, pyroclastic flows, ash, everything, kind of landslides, mudslides, sinkholes, all of that stuff. It all happens, and it all happens in a kind of more realistic, trying to be more realistic way. A kind of meteorological report type of a way. Which I got really obsessed with. There are lots of other volcano films that I remember snippets of from being really young, but I just don't remember what they were called. You know, on a Saturday afternoon there was There was a mountain, it blew up.
Yeah.
There was lava coming down. It could have been anything. If I find them again, I'll let you know what they are as well.
Yeah, please do.
My number 2 is Super Volcano.
Excellent. Okay, so my number 3 is Twister. Mid-90s, Bill Paxton, and that definitely was Bill Paxton, and Helen Hunt. Got to admit, at the time when it came out, I'd known Helen Hunt from Mad About You.
Supergirl.
She wasn't Supergirl. You're thinking of Helen Slater. Yeah, and Helen Hunt was the wife from Mad About You, and I had a massive crush on her. It's still there, honestly. That crush is still there. I know it's. She's also from As Good as It Gets and a number of other films, but she was in Twister with Bill Paxton. Not Dennis. What's the one that died? Hoffman. Philip Hoffman. Philip Seymour Hoffman. He's in that as well.
Okay.
Yeah. And I love that film. It's just basically about these storm chasers who are following this twister that is going through. It's in Midwest America, and this husband and wife or ex-husband and wife team up together to be able to throw some equipment into the twister so they can track it. The special effects don't hold up, but I still love the film because I love Helen Hunt. I think all the characters, the chemistry is fantastic. Philip Seymour Hoffman is great in it. It's a great show. I think Carrie Hughes. He's from The Princess Bride. He's from Saw.
Carrie Elwes.
Elwes, yeah. I think it's him that's the bad guy in it as well. He always plays a great bad guy. He plays a very smarmy bad guy. If it's him, I might be mistaken. But anyway, that's Twister. That's my number 3. My number 2, mentioned already earlier, not mentioned already in the lists, but earlier when we were talking about Liv Tyler, Armageddon. I go Armageddon rather than Deep Impact. They both came out around the same time. Deep Impact, for me, I know a lot of people tend to prefer that. It's on Diane Knight's list. It's not on my list. Armageddon's more on my list. I know it's cheesier. It's
but how
Michael
is that
Bay.
A disaster movie? It's a prevention of disaster movie.
But that's the whole point. It's a disaster movie because it's.
But there is no disaster.
Yes, there is. There's an asteroid heading to Earth that's going to destroy meteor. Yeah, it's an asteroid. It's coming to Earth. Parts of the asteroid are breaking off and are already destroying random places. Because remember, I think it's not Paris. I can't remember. I think Paris or France gets destroyed because of it. Bits of New York get destroyed, and if they don't blow up the asteroid before it crosses a certain point, it's extinction. That's a disaster movie. It's an extinction level event. That's a disaster movie.
Okay, I'm taking it as my number 4 as well then.
So you're adjusting your number 4. You've got you had Independence Day / Armageddon, right?
Independence Day / Day After Tomorrow / Armageddon.
Gosh. I thought you said you didn't like Day After Tomorrow.
Well, I didn't, but I really liked the sudden deep freeze effect.
Sure. Okay. Fair enough. I've added that to the list there. So that's my.
Other films haven't done that.
That's my number 2. Just before we go into our number 1s, you're listening to Shoot the Breeze on Resonance 104.4 FM. I'm Marcus E. Acko.
I'm Laura Sampson.
I'm David Campbell.
I want to give a quick shout out to the Shakespeare sisters, Hilary and Anna Elizabeth Shakespeare. Their movie Soundtrack to 16 it's crushing it in different festivals. Recently won Best Micro Budget Feature at the London Independent Film Festival. Well done, girls. You guys, girls. Well done, ladies, not girls. Your movie is crushing it. Well done. It's a great coming of age movie. When it comes out, we'll announce it and so on and so forth. Anyway, we're now on the final number 1s. David, what's your number 1 disaster movie?
Towering Inferno.
Towering Inferno.
It's one of the first ones I saw, and it just resonates now, even now, because you see more and more large buildings going up, and you've heard about the fires. I mean, and you still hear the same things: shortcuts being made, blah 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 blah, to save them on budget, and people paying the price. So yeah.
Great film. Laura, what's your number 1?
My number 1 is The Never-Ending Story. Because
that's
the whole
one
film
for the episode.
is about a civilization trying to run away from a kind of a vortex, kind of a black hole that's sucking up the entire world. And by the end of the film, it does.
You know what? I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
Thanks.
David, you allow it? Happy with that?
You know what?
That's a yes.
Like,
that's a yes.
I'm kind of like on the fence there.
You're on the fence?
I'll go with whatever you say.
Okay, well, this is our one for episode. It's one for this episode, so that's good. My number one has already been mentioned. Airplane. Airplane is like, we need to get to the hospital. What's that? It's a big building, but that's not. That's the point. Love that movie. Has so many quotable lines in it.
And Don't Call Me Shirley.
Yeah, surely you can't be serious. I am serious, and don't call me Shirley. Yes. Amazing movie. So that's our list. We're gonna post it on Facebook. The podcast for this episode comes out on Monday, early hours of Monday. Go and download it on any of your podcast catching apps. You've been listening to Shoot the Breeze on Resonance 104.4 FM. I'm Marcus E. Acko.
I'm Laura Sampson.
And I'm David Campbell.
Saying thank you very much for listening.
And see you next week.